bringing news from a different page. Truth served hot and bold and strong. Every week we sing along. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. Stories that make you think and pray. A light awaits at the end of day. Guided by the stars and stripes, through the stormiest of nights. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. When the world feels like a fight, hold your ground, stand for what's right. In the truth we'll find our way. Ed and Ronnie light the way. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. Together we find unity.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Red, White, and True with Ed and Ronnie, and the show starts right now.
Hey, everyone. It is Red, White, and True, and it is starting right now. Say hi, Ronnie.
Hey, everybody. Sorry. Well, my screen went all, both our pictures went little spinny circles and I lost everything. So good evening. I'm back.
You were kind of froze there for a second. And you were froze there again. You may have to.
I don't understand. I've got everything internet-wise shut off.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Well, I will restart everything because I've got everything in the house shut off. The only internet's going is this.
Yeah.
All right, I'll restart everything. I will be right back.
Not our friend. All right. Well, while Ronnie's gone, welcome to Red, White, and True with Ed and Ronnie. I was looking at something that showed when we started, and that was in November on election night. I believe that was 11:05, not the time, but the date that we let me look at a couple things here real quick. I've been getting some late messages and wanted to make sure there was nothing too terribly important as we take off. It's been a busy week news-wise, but, you know, well, we're going to talk President Trump. He's in Saudi Arabia as we speak on a Middle East tour. Think for about the rest of this week, we're going to talk about the Pope, an American Pope. And some of you are very interested. Some of you are very little interested. But I think it's important that we look at this major news story. And the bottom line is the Pope is a world leader, and he holds a lot of power. And the fact that he is the first American Pope in history is a big deal. As Ronnie comes back on, let's go ahead and let's do the MAGA Minute with the press secretary.
Hey everybody, happy Friday, and it's time for the MAGA Minute here in the beautiful Rose Garden, thanks to our beautiful First Lady. Let's get to it. On Monday, President Trump announced the 2027 NFL Draft will be held right here in Washington, D.C. The president hosted Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney at the White House. He met with freed Russian-American ballerina Carolina. President Trump and the First Lady hosted an event honoring military mothers. President Trump struck a historic trade deal with the United Kingdom, unlocking $5 billion worth of export opportunities and $6 billion in additional external revenue. Major companies like Gilead, Invenergy, Merck, Lego, Hotpack, Bristol-Myers Squibb, and many other companies committed billions of dollars in investments in the United States. The president announced plans to reopen the famous Alcatraz prison to house the most ruthless and violent criminals in our country. The administration launched a program to incentivize self-deportation for illegal aliens. The administration reached a ceasefire with the Houthis in Yemen. The administration also announced that all experiments on beagles on NIH campuses have been terminated. The House of Representatives took steps to pass a bill to codify President Trump's Gulf of America executive order. The president will be heading to Saudi Arabia next week to help strengthen ties with Middle Eastern countries. That's it for this week. Next week, we will be coming to you live from the Middle East. And lastly, happy Mother's Day to all of the amazing mothers out there across our country.
Well, you're back, and
I'm back.
The MAGA Minute is history. Let's touch a second on what she said there at the end. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And this is my first year with my mom.
Absolutely.
And
I wanted to share some.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to share.
Well, I don't know what people could see or couldn't see. On my screen, it showed you and your mother from the neck down.
Yeah, it looked like it chopped her head off. I don't know why it did
Yeah,
that.
well, maybe she's not listening or watching yet. And, you know, from my standpoint, it's the thought that counts. I miss my mom, but she is in such a better place than we are. It'd be so selfish for me to wish her back. So I hope you all had a good Mother's Day. For the mothers that are on here, I hope you had a good celebration in your honor. And for those that have mothers that are still living, I hope that you was able to do something nice for your mother. And that doesn't mean give her a really nice gift or anything like that. That just means to make her feel special, whether it was a phone call, a card, a letter. People don't do that too much anymore. How about a text message? And so happy Mother's Day, even if it's a couple days late. So what's going on your side of town?
Nothing. Been working. Loving the new job. Absolutely loving it. It's a really an amazing opportunity. So
I don't think the people on here probably know that you changed, because that kind of happened midweek. And so tell us what you're doing now.
Well, I went from making personal lubricant and bed bug spray to working at Hiker Trailers. And if people don't know who that is, it's a small company here in town, and they make amazing trailers. They're little pull-behind campers. They're not ones that you get up and walk around in. They're ones you sleep in, and there's a kitchen in the back, and it's right up my alley. So I'm loving every bit of it.
And we talked several weeks ago about praying that God would bring you the right job. And in between, you've been a couple places temporarily, and neither one of them were what you wanted to do long term, but you had bills to pay, and like everybody else, and you needed some money coming in. But I really think that this job fits who you are perfectly. I mean, camping, Ronnie built house. Okay, there you go. There you go.
It's real neat. I've been learning a lot. Just the first 2 days that I've been there, it's really an amazing opportunity. It doesn't pay well, but in the end, I'm happy where I'm at. So as long as I can keep a roof over my head and feed my family, and then I'm happy. But I love it. So the Lord answered our prayers. You know, He gave me where I should be. So.
And I remember hearing you tell somebody that if you were in the right job, it wouldn't even be really like the right job. What was that quote you used?
What was it? If you're happy, if you love what you do, you're not working. Yeah. If you love what you do, you're not working. I love what I do, so it doesn't seem like I'm working now. I mean, today was a little rough. I was learning a different skill, but I loved it. I kind of hurt my stomach bending into a big refrigerator box, but big deal. I love it. I'm happy. So Lord answered my prayers, and I don't feel like I'm working.
Well, I like the story you told me about when you went in for your interview, and you were, as you and your mother always are, you were extremely early. And so as you waited, you asked if you could tour the warehouse or in the area. And so you were having fun when they came to get you for your interview.
Yeah, when he came to get me for my interview, I was actually underneath a trailer with a flashlight looking at everything, and I crawled in and out of it. I took pictures of them, and I told Ashley I was just kind of happy to just tour the warehouse. Even if I didn't get the job, it was pretty cool. So.
Well, I seen that you had something in store about Senator Kennedy. Let's listen to our good friend.
Let's do it.
Because in Washington, it's easier to divorce your spouse than it is to fire a federal employee. The president grows anxious when he has an unexpressed thought. He says stuff. I spent 4 years serving with President Biden. As bad as it looked from the outside, you should have seen it from the inside. The fine print to apply, there's so much of it. You could hide a dead body in there and nobody'd ever find it. You go in one day and instead of $30, it's $567.23. And you go, oh my God, I got to go sell blood plasma. I hope it happens sooner rather than later, but you know, you can't hurry love. You just got to wait. Their economy is weak as rainwater. Their economy right now looks like somebody chewed them up and spit them out and stepped on them. They say 5%, but they lie like they breathe. I think most fair-minded Americans think today's Democratic Party looks like the game room in a mental hospital. That's just a wag. That's a wild-ass guess. He's smart. He's also a silver-tongued devil. He could talk a dog off a meat wagon.
Oh my.
Wow, I love him.
Yeah. And obviously some of those are from the past. He was talking about Biden in there several times, but I think it would be fun to go back even farther and hear, we kind of know the Biden era and, this last year here, but it'd be fun to hear him when he first went into the Senate and
Oh yeah, for sure.
hear if he had those quips all along or if it was an acquired taste. Well, you showed a senator, and I showed this one last week, and I'm not quite sure I've seen you laugh as hard as you did last week at this one. So I've saved it so that we can, find a good spot for it each week.
Yes.
So here we go.
Good deal.
Donald Trump is a criminal who was found guilty of 34 felony counts of fraud.
Bubble-headed communist.
Oh, it's okay, Spunky. It was on TV. It's not another dog.
And that dog put fleas down. He said he had fleas with a higher IQ. So, well, we like to have fun. We like to be serious. We like to share our opinions, and that's what we're here to do.
Absolutely.
So shoot something else off here.
Well, let's see here. We were talking about Mother's Day, and I shared a picture of my mom with her head cut off. I don't know why I did that, but I was flipping through one day and I come across this video, and it reminded me of her, but not really. Check it out.
The raccoon has her meth pipe.
As what?
Oh my God.
Her meth pipe. He's playing with the meth pipe right now. No, don't reach for it. That's evidence now.
Oh, I don't want him to have that.
That's why I'm gonna do it. Hey, buddy.
Huh?
It's okay. This is what she's smoking meth in.
Okay.
The raccoon's playing with her meth pipe. Oh, there's no way. He's trying to smoke it.
All right. Thanks.
There's no way.
Your mother did see that. She
good.
Yeah, she thought it was hilarious. I think she felt a little bit bad for the coon.
Well, there's a full video of that, and they actually pulled that lady over for speeding, and as she had a warrant for it, and as they were talking to her, oh goodness, they put batteries in her fresh batteries in her smoke detectors. They're going off all the time. We can make a bowl of cereal and the smoke detectors go off. But anyways, they pulled this woman over for speeding, and she had a warrant, so they pulled her out and they were talking to her, and as they were talking to her, they looked in and saw that raccoon, and the raccoon literally sent her to jail by pulling out that meth pipe. So
yeah, well, it wasn't just the warrant, it was the meth pipe.
Yeah. So I've got some serious stuff here if we want to jump into that. I've got some information on stocks and tariffs that are going on.
Love it.
All right.
Global stock markets are soaring thanks to President Trump's latest trade truce with China, and the world's two largest economic superpowers have agreed to slash tariffs by 115%. That means there's still some in there, but they're much lower, and it's for a 90-day period. So Wall Street, the corner of Wall and Broad, liking the cooling off that they see. The deal cuts reciprocal tariffs, again, by 115%. And China will reduce pressure on U.S. products from 125% down to 10%. The U.S. will temporarily lower tariffs on Chinese goods from 145 to 30%. So you see, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent revealed that this breakthrough was able to happen under President Trump because China walked all over Biden.
So some good news in there. The tariffs between us and China have dropped 100% or whatever, 115, 150, whatever it is. As long as it goes down, that's great.
Well, I think that the verdict is still out on the tariffs. It's hard to know if the goal is to keep the tariffs or if it was to negotiate to get us more in line with what everybody else is doing. I think that's probably going to be the case. I don't know if the goal really is to bring in the amount of money in tariffs that it seemed to be, but getting more favorable trade issues, whether it be being able to sell our goods in the other countries or being able to tariff things that we produce here. And, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to let goods come into the country at really cheap prices when we have the same things here. Yeah. So, equal playing field is what I think that the goal really is. And quite frankly, if we have an equal playing field, that is the same as a victory, because it's like we paid for everything for decades. When you look at things, probably since World War II, we've paid the lion's share of so many different issues.
Absolutely.
And we pay. I'm not even talking about the things that Doge found. I'm talking about just why do we support militarily certain countries in the world? And there's really not a reason that has to go strictly on us. There are other countries around the world that can help out. And you and I and everybody that's watching and listening, paying to support everybody everywhere is just, we got people we struggle. Probably everybody on here struggles at times to maybe not to pay their normal bills, but some of us do. But, I don't know of anybody that watches on here that we know that watches on here that I would consider financially rich. So unless you're the rich, you're going to struggle at certain things. You're going to not do certain things that you would if you had plenty of money. So I think that's a win. What do you think?
I don't understand why the left has to argue and make such a big deal over these tariffs. I mean, if China is going to charge us to send our goods there, but we don't charge them, it makes no sense as far as for us charging them while they're charging us. Again, like you said, that's a victory. That's just more money in the bank. Again, it's the same thing with liberals and Doge. Why are they complaining about them finding squandered and wasted money? There's got to be some kind of reason, and you can't argue with them about it, because when you argue with them about it, it's pretty much like this.
Sorry, Kevin Bacon wasn't in Footloose.
What? Of course he was.
No, he wasn't. You lose.
Of course he was. He was the star.
Nope, you're wrong. Look it up.
I don't have to look it up. It's common knowledge. He was on the cover of People magazine when the movie everyone knows Kevin Bacon was a star of Footloose. It was a huge movie. He was the lead.
No.
So that's basically arguing with a liberal in a nutshell. There's no point to it.
Well, and you probably ought to keep that one on here, because I'm sure, as sure as I'm sitting here in front of a black TV, that'll be needed each and every week we're doing this.
Just to remind everybody.
Just to remind everybody that it doesn't matter if the subject is 150% obvious that the whole world knows. Liberals may not agree with it.
Yeah, they won't agree with it, because they would rather orange man bad than to accept facts. That makes no sense to me. Why would you push a person that hard? That's the left for you.
when we look at tariffs and the stock market, I looked up in December of 24, the stock market closed at 45,000, and it's back up into the 42,000 range. So it's still got a while to get back to where it had been, but
you got to give it time.
It's not like it's horrible either.
Yeah, and you got to give him time. It was like 2 days after Trump became president. Well, the egg prices haven't changed a bit. Well, of course they're not going to. Give it time. Look at all the things he has done in the first 100 days.
I forget what I was looking at, but that point exactly came up. Why do you point out all the things that he does wrong and leave out all the things that he does right? You know,
because orange man bad.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, we've heard that since 2015, and eventually they won't stop. Eventually that's just going to blow off everybody's shoulder and, wipe off the dust, and you keep going, because that's what the president does. Now, I got to admit, he worries sometimes too much about what the other side says.
Yeah.
He lets it visually and verbally, he lets it affect him. Now, when it comes to performance, I don't think it does. But the best way, I believe, for President Trump to get under the skin of the liberals, and this is great, is to just be successful.
Yeah. Just keep winning. Just keep winning.
Keep putting America first. Keep, bringing. One of the things, tariffs, stock market, that people may not be looking at is literally the billions upon billions into the trillions of dollars of investment that is going to take place in this country that have been announced since January. He had another. Go ahead.
Every week in the MAGA Minute, she talks about the companies coming in or adding jobs, putting more into the economy. How is that a lose? How is that a loss? That's winning right there. Why would they complain about that?
Well, I think I read earlier today, he's in Saudi Arabia. I think they announced that 800 billion, that's 200 billion away from a trillion. That Saudi Arabia is going to invest in the United States. That's new investment. I forget the number of jobs. I mean, I think it was something like 1 million jobs it would create. 1 million jobs. Now, I don't know how they equate all of that. Sometimes things come across that they say is going to happen and end up not happening, or they say they're going to hire 100 people, but they only hire 25, all that factored in. I don't know what it's going to end up being. But when another country puts in $800 billion into our economy, that's a good thing.
Yeah. But the left's going to complain about it. You could Donald Trump could walk out of the White House and hand $500 to anybody who voted Democrat, and they would complain. He could hand them a sack of money, and they would complain. Well, it's too heavy. Why couldn't you put it on a card? Why couldn't you add it to this? Why couldn't you do? Just let them argue. But 800 billion? Can you imagine? That's amazing. Did you hear about his new airplane?
I did, and I know you've got something there on it.
I do.
Go ahead and play that, and then we'll discuss it.
Not a gift to me, it's a gift to the Department of Defense. And you should know better, because you've been embarrassed enough.
Mr. President, what do you say to people who view that luxury jet as a personal gift to you? Why not leave it behind?
You're ABC fake news, right?
Why not?
It's only ABC. Well, a few of you would. Let me tell you, you should be embarrassed asking that question. They're giving us a free jet. I could say, no, don't give us. I want to pay you $1 billion or 400 million or whatever it is. or I could say thank you very much.
Respectfully, sir, as a businessman, some people may look at this and say, have you ever been given a gift worth millions of dollars and then not received anything?
It's not a gift to me, it's a gift to the Department of Defense. And you should know better, because you've been embarrassed enough, and so has your network. Your network is a disaster. ABC is a disaster. Here is the bill. Bobby, come on over here.
I got to agree, ABC is a disaster, but
well, yeah, I was going to say that should just be a billboard. ABC is a disaster. I've got a little bit of mixed feeling on it, in that he kind of clarified some things that helped me on my thoughts. It's a gift to the Department of Defense. Here's the deal. When he was president the first time, he put in place for Boeing to make 2 planes, the new Air Force One.
Yeah.
And they're still not done. And now the schedule is 2028 or 2029.
And they are millions and millions over budget on those.
Yes, horribly over budget. And if he gets the approval of the Department of Justice, that if it's all on the up and up and legal, then I ain't got a problem with it. But if there's questions about underhandedness or anything like that, but I think Trump's smart enough to not do something like that underhanded.
Yeah.
You know, well, he don't have to.
No.
You know, he could live with Air Force One the way it is, the current one. So, you know, a little of it bugs me that it's coming from a country that doesn't line up with us altogether. You know, I don't think other countries have to walk lockstep with this, but I think there's questions about whether or not that country funds some terrorist activity or anything like that. Yeah. But
I've heard it pronounced Qatar or Qatar. Either way, I'm trying to figure out why would they give Trump this plane? What? I guess I didn't hear that part of it, why it was, but I also don't understand why the left is complaining about it. You know, he said it was for the Department of Defense. I highly doubt he's going to make it his new Trump Force One. He's already got a plane. He don't need that one.
Right. And his own personal, I think I read it's a 757.
Yeah.
It is probably way better than what he's flying on Air Force One.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Air Force One is outdated. But I mean, the technology on it's good, but the plane itself is old.
Well, that's what sets Air Force One apart. And what I think some of the concerns are, there'd have to be quite a bit of work done to make it secure, you know, the security situation, the not just whether or not it could be shot down or not, but being able to communications were secure and things like that. So I'm not 100% on board with it, but I'm not against it either.
Just need more information. I mean, before I can make a judgment call. I mean, yeah, that's great, but it also seems sketchy. You know, but we'll see. Just give it time again. Give it time. It's time.
And I read where it's like a palace.
Is it?
It's not like any airplane that anybody has ever known. It's like a presidential palace in the air.
Wow.
So
Mary got it right. A hint to Boeing to cut costs. You know, I mean, he started this, what was it, 6 years ago or something, for Boeing to create a new Air Force One. It's still not done. Millions over budget. Excuses after excuses. Come on now. Come on. That's ridiculous.
Well, and Biden, or not Biden, I'm sorry, slap my face and bite my tongue. Trump does that a lot. He does things to make a point. And the point to Boeing is get your act together. You know,
absolutely.
I should be flying around in the new Air Force One.
He should be the first president to walk on that, you know.
I mean, when it totally bypassed Biden and it started with Trump and now it's ending with Trump, or it may not.
Yeah.
2029, if it takes that long, then that's not that.
Then hopefully it's President Vance gets to use that plane.
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely not Harris.
Well,
hopefully
no.
not. Hopefully not. I saw a thing the other day was Harris and Jasmine Crockett as her, or no, AOC was the vice president. Can you imagine? My Lord.
Well, seeing as how you mentioned the Texas topic, let's do that. Then we'll play a break, and then I'll come back and I'll talk about the Pope a little bit.
I do have two. One's Do Better Texas, and the other one is Jasmine Crockett playing a game called Trump or Trans.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands. You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
I love that with her accent. We done picking cotton. Come on now. Let's play Trump or Trans. Go ahead.
There you go. Well, I was just going to say she represents Texas proud.
She does. She makes everybody proud. We done picking cotton. Let's play Trump or Trans.
So, Miss Goss-Graves, I want to play a game. It's called Trump or Trans. You ready?
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to tell me whether or not it is Trump or trans people that are responsible. You understand?
Got it.
Okay, very good. The first one, gutted medical research.
Trump.
Kidnapping Americans and sending them to foreign countries, a.k.a. deporting them.
Trump.
Driving us into a recession.
Trump.
Increasing the cost of everything.
Trump.
Waging an idiotic tariff war.
Trump.
Harming farmers.
Trump.
Ignoring the Constitution.
Trump.
Proposing to take away Social Security.
Trump.
Cutting health care.
Trump.
Firing government workers who keep our country safe.
Trump.
Encouraging an environment of hate and divisiveness.
Trump.
Thank you so much. This committee could be engaged in actual oversight of fraud, waste, abuse, and mismanagement. So let's talk about waste. Like Trump's plan to spend almost $100 million for his little birthday parade. Or how he spent 25% of his first 100 days golfing, costing taxpayers tens of millions of dollars. In fact, it's a little bit over 30 million at our last estimation. In fact, President Trump is on pace to spend more than $1 billion of taxpayer dollars just on golfing. Yet the Republicans have been silent. So they must think spending taxpayer dollars on the president's golfing trips is more important than providing health care to their constituents. And when I talk about constituents, we're going to talk about the ones on this committee.
Yeah. Let's look at Biden and how many vacations he did. Let's look at Obama and see how many vacations he took. But we're not going to get into that. I want to play our own little game of Trump or Trans. You want to play along with me?
Sure.
All right. So, who is it, either Trump or trans people, force children to watch a grown man dressed up like a woman dancing around?
Trans.
Who forces you to acknowledge their pronouns?
Trans.
Who forces everyone to play along in the pretend world that they live in, that a man is a woman and a woman is a man?
Trans.
You're a winner. Winner, turkey dinner.
Well, I found it humorous that she didn't come up with anything that the answer was trans.
Absolutely not. That's why I did it. I just came up with 3 things that had nothing to do with Trump, just like she did, had nothing to do with trans people.
Oh my.
And after our break, I will, or we can do it before. I do have a liberal Looney Tune video that falls right in with the trans, and it will blow your mind.
Well, let's go ahead with that, and then we'll.
All right. This is here we go.
Hey TikTok, as you can see from my past video of my pregnancy announcement, I'm pregnant. So we went ahead and got one of these little gender tests. We all know it's not accurate, but I saw everybody else doing it, and I didn't do it with my first pregnancy, so I wanted to do it with this pregnancy. So we're just gonna take it, and I think it's gonna say a boy. What do you think it's gonna say?
It's a baby girl.
And you think it's a girl? He swears up and down that it's a girl. Like, since the moment he found out I was pregnant, he was like, I know.
Sometimes you just know.
I'm not going to play all of it. I don't want to subject everybody to that torture. Long story short, it's a girl coming from a woman who has a better beard than I do.
Well,
what is this world coming to?
I guess I would ask how that couple define woman. Is it going to come out with a penis or a vagina?
Right.
No, we'll be
God
right.
bless them in their
We're taking
decision.
a short break, but don't go anywhere. Ed and Ronnie will be right back in just a few seconds. Thank you so much for supporting Red, White, and True. Did you know that your interactions with us on social media are vital to making sure that we continue to grow our audience? Please follow us on all major social media platforms, especially our Facebook page, so we can continue to share Christ through current events and more here on this live stream. Okay, just a little bit longer to make sure that you go grab your coffee, soda, or whatever you want, so we can continue with today's live stream. All right? Are you ready? Here we go. Here again, our Ed and Ronnie.
All right. Well, let's look at the picture that was done for us today. Trump being the huge topic as always. But then there is Pope Leo. And I don't want anybody thinking that that's a face-off. I don't want anybody think Trump's trying to do the Pope picture or anything like that, because that's not the case. But what I want to do is jump on here and I got to get rid of that. There we go. And I'm going to just put me on here for just a couple of minutes as we talk about the new Pope. And I understand that there are mixed reactions. I mean, we're evangelical Christians. We're not Catholic. So obviously this topic isn't as big to us as it would be to our Catholic brothers and sisters. But we also know that the last Pope, Pope Francis, was very, very detrimental to the conservative movement. He was a liberal. There's just no other way to describe that. And it was amazing the shock that happened when Pope Leo the 14th was announced. His given name, he was born Pope, not Pope. He was born Robert Francis Provost, Prevost, born in September of 1955 in the city of Chicago. He has a bachelor's degree from Villanova University. He joined the Order of St. Augustine in 1977. He went on to obtain his theology degree at the Catholic Theological Union in Chicago and a doctorate in canon law from the Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas in Rome. He was ordained as a priest in 1982. He became a missionary to Peru in 85 and spent many, many years in Peru as a priest, as a teacher. He taught in seminary down there. So a lot of different things. He was elected again as the first American to be the Pope. He chose the name Leo the 14th to directly honor Pope Leo the 13th, who was Pope from 1878 to 1903. He was a towering figure in Catholic social teaching. Leo the 13th is best known for his Of New Things, which is considered the foundation of modern Catholic social doctrine, advocating for the rights of workers and the poor. By choosing the name Leo, the new pope signaled an alignment with that legacy. Vatican officials confirmed that the choice was a direct reference to Leo the 13th. And they also noted that Leo the 13th was the founding figure of the Catholic social justice tradition. Some of the readings that I have done says that Pope Leo is definitely more conservative than Francis. Of course, most people in the world are more conservative than Francis. I'm not sure that he will be as far right as what we would hope. But I think, as in we talk about the president, I think we have to give Leo the opportunity to show who he is and how he's going to be as a pope. A major theme in his vision is probably going to be bridge building, not bitch building, but bridge building, and making the Catholic Church a welcoming church. He declared, together we must try to be a missionary church, a church that builds bridges and always dialogues and is always open to receiving everyone, like this square with its arms open to everyone in need. He's given Mass. He's had several different times to speak. Beyond that inaugural address that some of the things that he said are items that you would expect a pope to say: helping the poor and migrants, protecting the environment, pursuing radical justice. Indeed, he appears to heal divisions within the church, within the Catholic Church, because there have become more and more division within that. Beyond the Catholic sphere, non-Catholic and global reactions to Pope Leo's election have been significant, reflecting a broader implication of a new pope. World leaders and media immediately took note of the historic first American pope. President Trump welcomed Leo, his election, on his social media platform, calling it a great honor for our country. Experts in religion and global affairs have also weighed in. Many were struck by how the geopolitical landscape made an American pope conceivable. A Catholic theologian remarked that not long ago, the election of a U.S. pope seemed impossible. And so with that, I hope that the bottom line being, and let me get rid of this picture so I don't pop it up again and bring Ronnie back on. My hope is that if Leo does the bridge building, I hope one of those bridges is with evangelical Christians. I know there are Catholics that don't think evangelicals are on the right track. I know there are evangelicals that think Catholics are not on the right track. I could have that debate and tell you where I'm at with that, but I hope that the two can find common ground in that Jesus is the reason for any of the different denominations, any of the different religions. It's Jesus, because if you don't follow Jesus, it doesn't matter who you are or what you are. The Bible reads that there is only one way to heaven. And that's not through any certain pastor. That's not through any certain denomination. That's not through any individual such as the Pope. that is through Jesus Christ. And I hope that that bridge in itself is one that we can have, because I believe that there are going to be plenty of Catholic people in heaven. And hopefully Catholics believe there are going to be plenty of good evangelicals in heaven too. Or some people might think that there'll be some bad evangelicals in heaven. What do you think? What's your thoughts? Oh, are you muted?
Apparently, I started talking and it popped up and said Mike is muted. So I agree completely. I wish the best for the Pope. I wish the best for the Catholic religion, church, and everything. As you were talking about being a bridge building, and building bridges with evangelical Christians, I would really like to see a Pope build a bridge with America, with the government. President Trump is what I'm trying to get at. I know a lot of people were joking. J.D. Vance went to see the Pope. That within hours he was dead. I saw a joke. I think it was on Saturday Night Live, which I can't show it because then they'll kick us off of Facebook again like last week. But it said, well, if Trump doesn't like the new Pope, he'll just send J.D. Vance over. Wink, wink. Which I thought was pretty dirty. But
yeah, well,
I
wouldn't expect any better.
But yeah. So I do have a video of Trump talking about his Pope picture, like we talked about last week.
Okay.
Some Catholics were not so happy about the image of you looking like the Pope.
Oh, I see. You mean they can't take a joke? You don't mean the Catholics. You mean the fake news media. Not the Catholics loved it. I had nothing to do with it. Somebody made up a picture of me dressed like the Pope, and they put it out on the internet. That's not me that did it. I have no idea where it came from. Maybe it was AI, but I know nothing about it. I just saw it last evening. Actually, my wife thought it was cute. She said, "Isn't that nice?"
My question about
Actually, I would not be able to be married, though. That would be a lot. I'd have to the best of my knowledge, popes aren't big on getting married, are they? Not that we know of. No. I think it's the fake news media that they're fakers.
My question, though, sir, was about the fact that it was put out on the White House account. Even though it was AI generated, it was a joke, it was a meme. Does it at all diminish the substance of the official White House account to have it go out on that particular channel?
Give me a break. It was just somebody did it in fun. It's fine. Have to have a little fun, don't you?
I like that.
Well, I think, in all fairness, everybody ought to take that advice a little bit. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. Sometimes we're all a little too uptight about things. And, there was no reason for Trump to dog out whoever it was that made it, but also turn around and say, look, it wasn't a big deal. The fake news is making it a big deal, but, and I'm sure there were some Catholics that were offended, but again, just loosen that belt strap up a little bit and take a deep breath. And, we've got millions of things going on in the world that are way worse than what a picture of Donald Trump that was generated by AI is.
Exactly. Worry about something else.
Absolutely. Well, there was something that happened this past week that I think you have something on it. And actually, I think I want you to play yours first because it's longer and it may include the things that I have. So about the Democrats that rushed the ICE encampment.
And keep an eye on how they act and what they say. It's insane. These people will watch it.
The Trump administration is warning there could be more arrests after 3 House Democrats attempted to push through ICE agents and enter a New Jersey immigration detention center on Friday.
Get your officers. Get your hands off of her. He just assaulted me.
Worth mentioning, those lawmakers have oversight capacity. DHS had said, hey, we would have let them in with proper channels, but instead you saw that play out. Those Democrats, though, they're insisting they are the victims. They didn't do any pushing and shoving, they insist.
All right, there. Craziness.
They must be watching a different video than we're watching, and that did take care of the two short videos that I had. The lady in the red jacket, she was shoving her way around however she. The deal is, if you don't put yourself in that position, then you don't have stories, their story saying that they were the victim, the video showing that they weren't the victim, and you hear that if they would have made themselves known, that they would have been taken care of on the proper way of doing things.
Yes. I just can't believe that grown adults, our government, was behaving that way. That's like the Jasmine Crockett. We don't pick no more cotton. Come on. I was always raised to believe that people in the government, law enforcement, stuff like that they were the ultimate goal. They were the people to look up to. They were the people that should be respected. They were the people that you should strive to behave like. I would smack the crap out of my daughter if she came in talking like that. That's just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Let's say they decided to show up the way they did, unannounced. Not any of the other things that went on, just showed up unannounced. And having just visited a federal penitentiary, I have somewhat of an idea in my mind what could have taken place. And there were corrections officers that would answer questions. I'm not saying that they were nice. I mean, I got cussed at by one of the corrections officers. But the thing is,
wasn't my mother, was it?
No. If I would have acted like them, I would have expected the corrections officers to come back at me. If I would have said, I'm here, I want to visit so-and-so, here are my credentials, then you could have had a civil discussion. But they were blocking ambulances trying to get in. They were trying to follow other vehicles to get in. And the bottom line is, we've had a couple of instances where nobody is above the law, and that includes mayors of towns in New Jersey and Congress people. They're not above the law. Just because it's Congressman or Congresswoman so-and-so doesn't give them the right to show up and demand entrance into a place.
No. And what the big thing, the biggest thing of all that covers this, that we're forgetting, these Democrats were fighting to get into an ICE facility to talk to or to investigate whatever illegal immigrants. When is the last time you have ever seen a Democrat, senator, congressperson, whatever, fight that hard for an American citizen? I'm not talking about a Republican. They're never. You vote red, you're dead to them in their eyes. I'm talking about just an average Democrat. When have you ever seen that? Spent time, effort, energy, money, all this for these illegal immigrants, but not one time have you ever seen them fight that hard for an American citizen, for a born-in, red, white, and true American citizen.
And I've seen a perfect example of that. How many of those people that are fighting for illegal immigrants was over in Gaza fighting for our hostages that were over there.
Yeah. Where was the struggle? Where was the screaming and pointing their finger at a correctional officer about that? Didn't see that once.
Well,
what about the translators and their families that helped us in Afghanistan when Joe Biden botched that withdrawal and promised these people to come to America and left them there to be killed by the Taliban? Were they fighting for them? Nope.
No. Well, this is a couple minutes long, and I watched the first minute plus of it, so if it drags out too far, I'll stop it. But this gives you some information on the rights of illegal immigrants.
Are deportable aliens entitled to due process? The left has been demanding due process for deportable and deported aliens, including their poorly chosen poster child, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. But as is typical, the left is not being honest about what process is and is not due. Rather, the left seeks to confuse criminal rights and process with immigration, which are civil proceedings. Because deportation proceedings are not criminal proceedings, deportable aliens do not have criminal rights, such as being considered innocent until proven guilty, or a right to a taxpayer-funded defense attorney. Likewise, an administrative immigration judge's order of removal is not a conviction, and deportation is not a criminal sentence. What civil process does an alien receive? Before coming to the U.S., an alien may apply for a temporary or permanent visa, or apply for refugee protection through the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program. However, many aliens, like Abrego Garcia, ignore that process and instead come here illegally, making themselves a deportable alien. Once in the U.S., aliens then have a second opportunity for process by applying for asylum or other immigration benefits with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. Again, many aliens, including Abrego Garcia, reject that process and remain living here illegally as long as they can, unless and until ICE encounters them. Only then, and in Abrego Garcia's case, it was 8 years after he illegally entered, do aliens who ICE places in deportation proceedings use a third opportunity to defend against their deportation by seeking immigration benefits. 2 immigration judges found that Abrego Garcia was an MS-13 gang member. He was ineligible for asylum because he waited longer than 1 year to seek it, and the very limited benefit he received, a withholding of removal to his home country, has been overcome by changed circumstances. The eradication of the rival gang he said he feared, and President Trump's designation of MS-13 as a foreign terrorist organization. The U.S. owes Abrego Garcia no more process. The left's demand for endless due process for deportable aliens has only opened Americans' eyes to how illegal aliens game our overly generous immigration system. The Justice Department and Congress need to end this systemic abuse.
Wow. I've never heard it put out there so perfectly before, but there you go.
So think of somebody, whether it be a politician or just somebody that you know that was on the other side, that you played that video for. Now, what do you think their response would be?
Lies, wrong. Heel.
Yeah, you could have just played that video clip.
You know, I get it. America was born on immigrants and all that. The difference is legal and illegal, and that's something that I think our friends on the other side of the aisle need to look up in their dictionary, the difference between legal and illegal, and they don't get it. They don't get it. Illegal entry. Oh, they're seeking asylum. Well, then they can do it the correct way. There's asylum ports, yada yada yada. There's ways to do it, and I like how they're doing now, where you can self-deport with not the promise, but the chance to come back to America. But if you're caught and deported, you're done.
Yeah.
So, and there's been people that have self-deported, stand up, self-deported for the chance to come back, and I think that they should be able to come back right there.
Well, I think the government has even started giving like $1,000 to somebody that decides to self-deport. Plus, I think, and I could be wrong on this one, I think they'll even pay for them to go, the transportation.
Yeah.
Could be wrong on that one, but I know I've seen where I think $1,000 is the amount. But, and you know, somebody might say, well, what can you do with $1,000? Well, in some countries, $1,000 is a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And, you know,
yeah, we should self-support.
Yeah,
let's do that. We'll get $1,000. We can go to Holland. All right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got something. Oh, do that again. Wonder what we did that.
Yeah. What did we do, Mama?
Yeah, she'll explain. Well, it's a good thing she's here at the end and not the beginning.
Yeah. She missed the raccoon smoking meth.
Yeah, that's what she missed.
And her head cut off on my Mother's Day message to my mother.
Well, you know, our group has been kind of quiet tonight. We had several people, but they've been quiet. And I think the topics tonight were good. Let me look and see if there's anything else that I really, really wanted to cover. I thought there was one more. Maybe there it is. That's what I wanted. Let's just play it and let it speak for itself.
I wasn't even planning on speaking, but I had to say something about the girl that was just asking about. I've never said this publicly, so I'm shaking like a leaf. I was when I was 17. Everybody I knew told me to get rid of it. I was shunned by people in my church. I was shunned by family and friends, and I still had it in me. God put it in me. You're having this baby. I had my baby, and he was the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
Talk about what your life would be if you would have had that abortion.
I probably wouldn't be here because I was doing some stupid crap, but I was, and I conceived him during that, and he knows that. He's known it his whole life. His biological father has nothing to do with him. He has nothing to do with him. I married the most wonderful man when he was 11. We got married. We had another child. So he has his sister. And that completed my family. But never once in my mind did it occur to me to kill him. Never.
What is your message to a young lady right now watching on TikTok or Instagram that might think that abortion is the only option?
No, reach out for help. There's so many more options. My son's 35, for God's sakes. And there's so much more help out there. Go to your local church. Go to, there are plenty of...
The pregnancy crisis centers.
Yeah.
And God bless you for that testimony.
Thank you.
Because every human being is made in the image of God.
Yes,
every
absolutely.
single human being. God bless you. Thank you, ma'am.
I've got one to go exactly with that too, but if we don't want to play it, if we don't have time, we don't have to.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
In the summer of 1970, a 14-year-old girl was raped at a 4th of July party. 9 months later, she gave birth to me. I was given up for adoption, was raised by a Christian family. When my dad had a policy when we were kids that we could take him aside and ask him what a word meant if we didn't know what it meant. I heard abortion mentioned in school when I was in elementary school by a high schooler, and I didn't know what it meant. And the night he explained it to me, I didn't hardly sleep. Because I grew up on a farm where we did everything we could to save every single animal born on that farm. And to know that people were killing their children because they were inconvenient horrified me. And from that day on, I was a pro-lifer. The circumstances of my conception do not determine my worth as a human being.
I've got two things to say about that. Praise God that man is on this earth upright and breathing. And number two, he had an amazing beard. Great beard, my guy.
It looked like he had been in
the snow or something.
Yeah, and it looked like it was frozen.
Yeah.
I'm still cold chilling right now over that. And you think about both of those people, they had every reason that liberals would give to have an abortion.
Yeah.
The lady have abortion or that person to actually have been aborted. Think about that. We're talking and saying that person to be that could be any of us.
Yeah.
Our parents chose life. not under bad circumstances. But that woman that was raped, is interesting that Charlie Kirk's video beeped out the word raped. If that's, people didn't catch on, that's what they beeped out. And I don't know that that was Charlie Kirk that did that. It was probably somebody else that did the video.
It's the TikTok algorithm that if they hear the word rape or gun or murder or anything like that, it flags it. Kind of like how we played SNL and it flagged us and kicked us offline.
But that lady could have lived the rest of her life knowing that she murdered her own baby. And this guy's mother would have had to have lived the rest of her life knowing that she murdered her baby. Let's quit using the word abortion.
It's murder.
And just call it what it is, and murder.
You know, I don't know if many people know this, but one of the most traumatic, or probably the most traumatic situations in my life is we had a miscarriage, and we lost our fourth daughter at 10 weeks. We had the test, found that it was a female, and I couldn't imagine purposely doing that. Couldn't imagine it. Murder, straight murder.
And we did a funeral for her.
Absolutely. It was beautiful at our old campsite. I bawled like a baby, but it was great. It was great. And our friends and family there.
Well, it wasn't a huge week of news, but there were things going on. Glad your mom was able to get in here at the end and be part.
Did you see she's finally said what she wants us to do? Well, me to do again.
Hee-haw.
Hee-haw!
Oh.
There you go, Mama. Happy Mother's Day. There's your Happy Mother's Day. Hee-haw!
There you go. That's why she's going to want that out of you on a regular basis. Come on, Ronnie.
I'll just call her up.
Do that again.
Yeah.
You can call, and if you get her voicemail, all you have to do is say that.
Right.
Well, friends,
it's been a great night.
It's been good to be with you. We'd like to hear feedback from people. If you're listening right now, put a comment in or go to the Red, White, and True X page or our Facebook page. Any of the different things we do, go to Ronnie or my area. I'm trying to push people into the others on purpose, but give us some feedback, give us some thoughts on something you'd like to hear us talk about, because
absolutely.
We play videos to get on a certain topic, but I know a lot of people like to hear what we have to say, or else they wouldn't come back. So.
And we're actually working on a new show plan just for a once in a while occasion. Once our campsite dries out from being underwater, but a Red, White, and True Unplugged, where we answer your questions or talk about what subjects you'd like to talk about, hear about, and just us around a campfire and no videos, no special effects, no it's just us talking.
Well, just that kind,
Yeah.
No video.
No.
So, we've got the Yeehaw video saved for later. We've got AOC saved for later, because I got to admit, your mom and I have been together 11 years this July, and I really don't think I've ever seen you laugh as hard as you did last week when I played the first time.
I don't know why that just tickled me in such a certain way. It just
probably because it was AOC.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Again, get a hold of us if you got something. If you got a criticism, we'll listen. We may not agree with you, but maybe you
might
have a
smack
criticism.
you around a little bit.
Nah,
no, we won't do that.
He just looks tough. He's a teddy bear.
Yeah,
like
pretty
his
much.
mom.
Yeah. Did you not see me petting the little tiny dog earlier? Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a chew toy for some of our dogs. But,
absolutely.
So we'll be back next Tuesday. We keep saying every Tuesday. If something happens that we need to cut in live, we'll do that. And we just haven't really had the opportunity of anything that was so earth-shattering that we needed to share instantly. So until we see you next week, say good night, Ronnie.
Good night, everybody. Good night, Ronnie. Whatever, that works.
Yeah. And until we are back again, go out and do the right thing.